I like to think about it this way. If we look at, let's say, and I hope this would never happen to anybody, but let's say that you were in a car accident and you had an injury, and the doctor said, you know what, you can get by on this, but eventually you're going to have surgery. You're going to have persistent pain until you have surgery. And so we have some amazing things of modern medicine to help control that so you can function, but that pain is going to persist until you have the surgery. Well, these kinds of behavior-related challenges are the same way. How can we expect the behavior to go away as long as the problem persists? Right? You wouldn't expect the pain to go away without the surgery in the example I gave you, but don't we expect the behavior to change without solving the problem? That's what we're going for, isn't it? So we're really up against something, and hopefully, if nothing else, that will help you as you try to remain patient, as you're responding to some of these kinds of common behaviors that persist no matter what you do. If the cause of the behavior is somewhere else and that persists, the behavior is probably going to persist too. In fact, I think sometimes it's a remarkable achievement when students can put that aside and do what we want them to do. So think about that when you're really frustrated next time and you're dealing with a student like that. But we can do more than that. What I say next is, frequently, the kinds of things that you talked about and many others that weren't talked about, even minor things, somebody keeps throwing paper wads or tapping somebody on the shoulder, or all those kind of behaviors that are just annoying, they frequently stem from a lack of one or more of those three items: self-respect, self-discipline, and responsibility. People, and I'll just say respect general, people don't respect other people. Often that comes from not respecting themselves. They don't discipline themselves, right? They don't take responsibility for their actions. Just about everything that I've ever heard in response to the question about challenging behaviors can be related to one or more of those three issues. Well, the good news about that is that we're reducing what we have to deal with now. I said it's really hard to teach character because it's so broad. But I think I can help you teach respect. I think I can help you teach discipline. And I think I can help you teach responsibility. And I'll bet if I can help you teach those three things, we're going to make massive improvements in how our children or young adults behave. Okay? So think about the other side, the character that you were talking about, the good things. They also relate to respect, discipline, and responsibility, don't they? Students who respect themselves and others, who discipline themselves to do what needs to be done, and who take responsibilities for the choices they make, that's what we're talking about when we say the whole person has character, right? That's exactly what we're talking about. So now we have these things in the same areas, and we can focus. And as I showed you on that pyramid, we can build respect, and then build discipline, and then build responsibility. One of our major problems is we tend to skip the base. We go right to discipline without building respect. Okay? So let's keep going. Our primary goal is just to make that movement, to go from challenging behaviors to good character. And we do it, now you can say it without me prompting you, through respect, discipline, and responsibility. You see, it's all about a change in perspective. And folks, there are going to be two words that I ask you to remember when you leave here today. The first one is perspective, okay? Typically, we see respect, discipline, and responsibility as traits. Take it this way. We say, you respect other people and yourself, or you don't, right? You discipline yourself to do the things that you're supposed to do, or you don't. You take responsibility for the choices that you make, or you don't. Right? That's a trait theory. That says, we know you have these traits, you choose not to exhibit them. Right? I disagree. And that's how my approach is fundamentally different from most classroom management you will ever hear about. Because I'm focused on looking at these kinds of issues as though they were skills instead of traits. The beauty of that is that we can teach skills. How do you teach a trait? Can I teach you to be a fantastic jumper if you're not one? No. Your jumping ability is a trait that you have. It's limited. But can I teach you to do a little better if I focus on it as a skill to be developed? I'll bet I can. I was a track coach, so I'm going to use that as an example. Okay? We can help students improve skill levels. And you know what? That's what EIU has been trying to teach you how to do. That's what you do every day, is you try to develop skills in your students. So imagine if you can transform that same skill set, that same bag of tools, into managing these kinds of behavior-related challenges that you face every day. Wouldn't that be fantastic? Because you already know how to do it. Perspective. Your perspective on what it is you're trying to do is the critical issue. And I need to prove that to you. Could I get a volunteer, please? You want to help me out? Thank you. Give her a hand for coming up here. Okay, what's your name?
Amy.
Amy? Glad to meet you, Amy. Would you stand over there by those coat hangers, please? And I'm going to come over here. Okay. Amy, have you ever done a standing broad jump?
Yes.
Okay, so you kind of know what it is. You trying to jump as far as you can, but you don't get a running start, right? Your feet are planted. You take one jump, and the distance is wherever you land, right? No walking, nobody carrying you. You jump, and you see where you can get, right? Okay, how far do you think you could jump if I asked you to do a standing broad jump? Don't do it yet, but how far do you think you could jump?
Maybe 4. Between 3 and 4 feet.
Between 3 and 4 feet. Well, unfortunately, right over here in front of me is a little bit farther than that. You don't think you could jump over here to in front of me?
Not with one broad jump, no.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Pretty sure. Let me sweeten the deal a little bit. I'm going to put $40 here on the edge of the table, and if you can jump to it, you can have it. Okay?
With only one broad
One jump.
Do I have to land on my feet?
Yeah, you do. She sounds a little bit motivated, doesn't she? Do you think you could make it now that I've offered you $40? You don't? Well, then we'll just take that away. Well, let's try something different then. Let's say that if you couldn't make it, you had to stay in this room until 4 o'clock this afternoon or until you made it, whichever came first.
It'd be 4 o'clock.
It would be 4 o'clock? Okay. Amy, thank you. Give her a hand again. I'm not going to make you jump. Okay. What's the point of what I just asked Amy to do? The point is, I just asked her to do something she is incapable of accomplishing, didn't I? I asked her to perform with skill that she did not possess, didn't I? And no amount of reward and no amount of penalty will change that, will it?